here. Hello and welcome in to the Erie Tiger Network. It's a volleyball matchup that will determine which team out of this region will head to state. It's Erie versus Palmer Ridge, and we are excited as, well, this is about the closest that Erie has touched state since maybe a couple seasons ago up in Steamboat when they were in that little tiebreaker in the region. I know, Coach Fox, you're the coach of that team. You were there, and
heartbroken.
That was a nerve-wracking time.
It was. That was fun. That Steamboat game was probably the most fun I've ever had coaching.
What in a game like this, of this magnitude, what's going through the coach's mind?
Well,
how do you control the nerves? How do you control the players' nerves?
You know, it's an interesting thing because it's something that you've been working for and working towards for realistically 6-7 months. As soon as club volleyball ends, these could start getting in the Erie gym, and so there's a lot of buildup. And I've always felt a little bit trying to manage the expectations with such a quick set being a couple quick sets being so meaningful. The other thing that's really interesting, and I'm not sure if it's a product of the high school kids playing or what it is, but middle of the day on the Saturday is probably the second time this year after their tournament earlier. It's harder to get fired up, especially away from home, and that's something that is kind of in stark contrast to the importance of this game. And so I've found that it kind of balances itself out a little bit on its own. If this was a night game and a Saturday night or a Friday night game, then you'd have to do some cooling down, I think. The bigger issue, I think, is when, inevitably volleyball is a game of managing errors and managing opponents' errors. And, when your players make the errors, making sure that they understand it's the same error that they've made all year, no more, no less, and that they just got to go out and keep playing and put tough balls to the other team.
Well, it should be a good one. You mentioned kind of the time of day. Another interesting thing, and when we were up at Steamboat 2 years ago, last year we were Cheyenne Mountain, but that Steamboat crowd especially, very full gym, very high energy crowd.
Yep.
Pretty sparse here.
Yeah, to me it always makes me a little sad, and I've been impressed with the Erie student fans the past couple years, but if I would hope that if Erie were the number 5 team in the state and only had 2 losses all year, one to the best team in the state, one of the best teams in the country, and you'd hope more fans come out. So it's always a little anticlimactic in that way.
Well, it should be a good one. A couple players to keep an eye on for Palmer Ridge. The freshman, Mac Russ, leads this team in kills, 228 kills on the season. Riley Simpson, also a big contributor, also a freshman. So their top 2 players here on a top 5 team, both freshmen. And then, then their third leading killer, a junior captain, Summer Reflogel. And pretty good team, this Palmer Ridge team. They play in a good conference, 6-1 overall, 22-2 on the year. They are the host school, obviously, the Bears. They're a good football program. They're undefeated this year. Erie might see them if they can continue to do well here in the playoffs at some point in the next few weeks. Their only loss in conference play to Lewis Palmer, who is literally a 4-minute drive from here, same district. So I don't know what's in the water here in the Tri-Lakes, but it produces some good volleyball.
Yeah, it sure does. And you think about this Palmer Ridge school, they're like you said, 21-3, now 22-3 with this morning's victory. And their 2 losses coming from Lewis Palmer. If you look at that game, they gave them a really tough match. I went through all of Lewis Palmer's matches, just kind of looking at the best team and what they're doing. And Palmer Ridge gave them as tough of a test as anybody else. And so they're right there kind of in that. It's hard to, when you look at 4A volleyball, it's hard to make anybody else, an argument for anyone else in the top tier other than Lewis Palmer. And then that second tier, you look at Holy Family, Palmer Ridge, you know, teams trying to take their shot at Lewis Palmer, just as Erie's trying to take their shot here at Palmer Ridge today.
By the way, their only other loss on the season was to Coronado, a 5A school in the Colorado Springs Metro League who won the Colorado Springs Metro League, and they lost 2-1.
That's 2-1, and Coronado is I think a 21-2 or a 20-3 team in 5A. Like, they are a juggernaut as well.
So it's going to be a tough one here tonight. They are announcing starting lineups. We're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, we'll have the first serve for you here on the Erie Tiger Network. And welcome back in, Erie Tiger Network, as the Tigers getting ready to take the floor. And it will be Casillas, Michelson, Crawford, Amond, Kreitz, and Haley Hahn to start things off. And I think it'll actually be Belts to come in here for Haley Hahn. And, well, Palmer Ridge, we took a quick timeout, and you were kind of saying in that timeout they have tried to build this team to beat Lewis Palmer.
Yep. And
this is a tough draw for this Erie team. And they will need to play probably their best game of the year to have a chance in this one.
Yeah, I think back at that first set they played at home against Holy Family, where they had everything clicking and took that first set off Holy Family. They need 3, maybe 4, maybe 5 of those. And they've got enough talent. That could get it done.
So Belts will start things off. She'll serve it left going right here for the Tigers. Quick set in the middle. Blocked there, but put away by Mac Russ. And there's the freshman with her first kill of the day.
I was spending some time talking with Michelson this week. She's in 2 of my classes, and I told her she's a little nervous playing against one of the best middles in the league. But I said, look, she's a freshman, and she's not going to have played against someone like you. First swing there, Maya did a good job of slowing that ball down. Just have to keep doing that.
That serve will go a little long. 1-1 here as Megan Casillas will go back to serve. And I do not know how to pronounce that player's name for Palmer Ridge. We'll revisit that when it happens again. And a block there by Michelson. It was a quick hitter that Grace McIntosh tried to get, and Michelson read it and stuffed it. 2-1 lead. Casillas serves into the back row. Set up that time by McIntosh. Hit from the outside, and that one will go long. And Palmer Ridge, who's been sitting around for an hour and a half, a few miscues here early.
That shows you one of those tough things when you're the serve receiver in the left back and then having to also immediately transition to hit. That makes it tough.
And there's Riley Simpson, another freshman, putting that one away. And Palmer Ridge, they are tall, lengthy, good athletes, and young.
Very few driver's licenses out there.
Crawford can't handle the serve. That came from Simpson, and we're all square at 3 here in the first set. Riley Simpson, we said the second leading killer on this team, only a freshman. She leads the team in aces with 38. And Kreitz called for the double hit there.
So with a team like this, it's very good. Just all four of the first serves from Palmer Ridge have gone right at Sophie Crawford. So we'll have to see what sort of adjustments Sophie can make, what sort of adjustments Coach Creek can make, and see if they keep going that way.
Kreitz will dig this time. Back set, and that one was a little too close to the net, and Michelson couldn't ever get underneath it. And a mistake there for the Tigers and a point for the Bears.
You see some nerves there, not quite pushing through, falling through that set as you run it across, pushing back behind. You really have to extend your arms and step through the set, and just kind of short-armed it, so to speak.
Crawford digs off the serve. Played toward Michelson. That one's blocked. Belts with a stabbing dig. Played back toward the middle. Amond will put it right on the line. And Jesse Amond gets a kill there for the Tigers, and they cut the lead back to 1 here in the first set.
This right here is the Tigers' strongest rotation, with Autumn serving, both Kreitz and Maya in the front row. See if they can push some points.
Now back set far side. Russ hammers one down. Good dig there by Belt. Set up far side for Kreitz. That one's blocked at the net. Played high into the air. Set up into the back row. Simpson delivers a good hit that's dug by Belts, and then it went right back to the Palmer Ridge side, and then it was just sent home for the kill.
Both of these teams too good to have any sort of overpass. If the overpass is close enough to the net, it's going to get shoved right down just like that one is. And even if it's not, that's just too easy of a ball and too good of an offense to let them tee off like that.
Into the middle, Michelson hit one off the side of her hand, picked up by Palmer Ridge, but overcooked long there, and a Tiger point. That was Riley Simpson from the back row.
So something that Michelson and Kreitz are going to have to keep in mind is they're not going to get the same percentage of kills with a much better block up than they're used to. But if they can give them tough balls like that, that ball came off the block funky and resulted in a long hit from Palmer Ridge, as I talked through the last point where Palmer Ridge teed up a ball from the outside and put it down.
7 serving 5 for the Bears as Elisa Glowwax goes to serve. We'll try and see if we can't find out the correct pronunciation of that name. Onto the Palmer Ridge side. Angled cross court, dug there by Kreitz. Pass toward the net and then sent down the line by Amon, and then a net violation on Palmer Ridge, and Erie keeps it at a 1-point set. Now Jesse Amon puts it in toward the back row, dug out by Simpson, set up at the net and hammered long, and we're all square at 7.
So it seems like maybe some nerves from Palmer Ridge too, as they've had 3 balls hit long early on in this first set.
Amon now floats it in toward the back row towards Simpson, and right back to Hahn on the overpass, and she just nailed it home. And the Tigers have their first lead here in this, they have an 8-7 lead here after they were up 3-1. Palmer Ridge came storming back, but Erie leads it now 8-7 here. Amon, kind of a knuckler in toward the back row, set up near side, punch, blocked down, scrambled for and picked up by Palmer Ridge onto the Erie side. Set up far side, Kreitz with a big hit and a little bit long, and Palmer Ridge ties it up.
Something to watch here as this game, or as you're listening as it goes on, the faster these games go. I think, Brandon, you can probably already see this game feels a lot faster. It's harder to get that full transition off, and you're going to see that first couple hits from each side tend to be a little long, and from Palmer Ridge and Erie, you've seen that already.
Now set up far side for Casillas. She was falling backward and just angled it across court, sliding dig by De La Rosa, and then played over third hit, and a point there for the Bears.
I was talking to Coach Tanaka between sets, and she said something that I wonder if they saw that we didn't have our tip defense set up very well in that first match, and there's the first time that Palmer Ridge has looked to exploit that.
Now Summer Reflogo to serve. Set up far side. That's Casillas, who has a nice right arm swing and ties it right back up. Erie hanging tough here in set number 1.
That was a great 35-foot set by the sophomore setter.
Now Sydney Kreitz back to serve. Set up near side, and that one is spiked into the net, so an Erie point, and they lead it 10-9. Top spin serve in toward the back row. Set up far side. Blocked at the net. Haley Hahn in there, and the Tigers lead by a pair of points. And Kreitz will serve it again here for the Tigers. 11 serving 9. Kreitz puts into the back row. Set to the near side, and that was put home by Riley Simpson.
That time Haley, after that great block in the middle, wasn't able to quite get all the way out to Amen on the right side and close that block and kind of ping-pong between the inside arms of the blockers there.
Hard serve to Belts, and that was an overpass that was rocketed home from the middle, and that put a little juice into this crowd. That was Mac Russ, the freshman, that just got on top and, I mean, smoked one.
Yeah, it's unlike football. You know, the very best plays in volleyball are worth the same amount as the very most average plays, but you're right, that kind of energy that gave, huge.
And they'll say that one went outside the antenna, so Palmer Ridge retakes the lead after Erie up by a couple. Erie, formula for upsetting this team, gotta hang around in these sets and then make a little run late and steal 1 or 2 sets early, I think.
Yeah, one of the first 2. Quick, early Coach Creek has called timeout here to make sure it stays close.
Hey fans, are you looking to get your wisdom teeth removed or have other facial surgical needs? Put your trust into Dr. Eugene Kang at Aspen Oral and Facial Surgery.
I did.
Our vision at Aspen Oral and Facial Surgery is to improve the lives of our patients by providing the most highly skilled surgical care in an honest, warm, caring environment. Check them out online today at aspenoralsurgery.com. And yeah, I've mentioned that on the air,
there you go.
that Mr. Coach Fox had his wisdom teeth removed at Aspen Oral.
Apparently, I don't remember this, but apparently I didn't want to be wheelchaired out after. And so I was giving my wife a hard time about wanting to walk out to the car. They got me out there safe. We're fine.
13-11, Bears lead it here. Coach Creek calling a quick timeout, and that little spike that we saw there, he said sometimes that can change momentum. A little 4-point run here for the Bears after that. Hahn gets her hit blocked. Belts will pass it over onto the Palmer Ridge side. They set it up in the middle, and Russ nailed it long. And they said that was tipped by an Erie player.
Not much resistance there from anybody, so maybe they saw something a little closer to the court than we did.
Now De La Rosa will serve in a floater, picked up by Kreitz. Far side for Crawford. Blocked and then a diving dig, and now Palmer Ridge on the attack, and just from the near side, kind of in the mid-court, Riley Simpson dropped it in there perfect.
A little flat-footed the last couple rallies by Erie. Leaned back.
Dicey point in this set. Erie needs to come away with a point out of the middle. Hahn, that one gets dug out by Woods. Toward the net, Belts had to run up and dig from the back row. Now Crawford gets her attempt blocked back onto the Palmer Ridge side, and a net violation on Palmer Ridge gives Erie the point.
Got lucky there because they set one up there for the big middle. And just like that, they're going to be able to rotate, bring in Maya Michelson, and hopefully push some points here. But it's a tough one because you have, as Riley Belt serves it into the net, you have very limited time with your best players in the front before they have to go out. So it's tough to get those points sped through with missed serves.
Now Woods to serve. Kreitz passes to Amon, who sets up Michelson. That one was dug out, and it was right toward the net, and Grace McIntosh just rose up and fired one down right into the empty spot of the court. And man, this Palmer Ridge team is really good.
They're very athletic, and that's a third overpass from Erie that has come straight back at them.
Now onto the Palmer Ridge side. Set up near side, and a little bit of an off-speed hit, off-tempo. It was kind of more miss-hit than anything, and Erie couldn't corral it. Now find themselves down by 6 points. That happened in, it seemed like the blink of an eye, and there's an ace.
Yeah, you hope that I hope that Erie can kind of get some of that energy back, kind of their kind of sharpness hangover from the first set, and maybe hope that Palmer Ridge is not just dusting off, sitting out that middle match.
Kreitz dig, set up far side. That's Crawford. That one is dug out by De La Rosa. Back onto the Erie side. Belt sets up quick in the middle for Michelson, who touches the line. It wasn't one of her big slammers, but she floated it over the blockers and found the empty spot on the far side.
That's something she's really improved in her game. You know, as a sophomore, she went up, looked at the ball, and was looking to hit. And now she's going up, finding the ball, finding the court, and then coming back and finding the ball again and making a decision. There's another overpass, that time by Palmer Ridge, that's shoved down by Michelson.
So a couple points there for the Tigers.
That's a hard thing to do as a hitter, to see that, especially when you're moving fast, to see the setter, find the set, then find the open spot on the court, go back, find this ball again.
That time, Michelson set up as a blocker. She caught a piece of it, but went out of bounds for a kill. And Mac Russ, another kill for this Palmer Ridge team. And Riley Simpson back to serve 20, serving 14 here for the Bears.
Hannah Kurds is in on the right side for Jess Amon.
And that one is an ace. It's kind of a top spinner that I think maybe caught just a piece of the net and dropped right in front of Belts. (21) serving 14. Biggest lead of the match for Palmer Ridge. Belts digs. Casillas back set for Michelson. It gets blocked. Michelson again. De La Rosa picks it up. Now near side set, and that one is blocked and just barely wide for a Palmer Ridge point. I think Michelson thought she had that one, and a timeout by Coach Creek. Well, Go Airheads Airsoft Field and Store in Erie gives children, teens, and adults an exhilarating, unforgettable experience and a unique battle zone. Play against your friends and friends-to-be. Even play a head-to-head against an army of zombies during our I Am Zombie game. For more info, be sure to check them out online at goairheads.com. 22-14, Palmer Ridge leads, and it doesn't really feel like Erie's been that bad. It's just this Palmer Ridge team, you make any kind of mistake, and it seems like they pounce on you and make you pay.
Yeah, very good. And there's been a couple times when Erie's looked maybe a little flat, little observer-ish, if you will, watching a good team play on the other side, and then all of a sudden those hits jump up on you with not a lot of time to react. And if you're not both in good position and good kind of stance to make a quick move, you don't have a lot of trouble. There's been some studies done on how much reaction time you have based on the speed, and it's hard to tell exactly how fast these hits are going, but they're at the upper end of what high school athletes are doing, and you have fractions of a second to make a decision and adjustment defensively.
Michelson got blocked at the net, and Palmer Ridge picks up another point, and it's 23-14. Calling a timeout down 8, kind of late in the set. Are you making adjustments more for things you want to see going into next set, or are you still kind of holding out hope that you can make a run?
Yeah, I think more than anything, I would talk about setting the tone for the next set. Can we go, you know, if they need 3 more points and we need 8, can we go win 4 of the next 7? Kind of set the tone for me. Of course, put a couple aces together, a couple quick points, anything can happen. But statistically, your shot of winning a game down 8 when they're in the 20s is very, very slim.
Tigers cut it back, 16-23. Purcell on the serve, blocked the net by Michelson. Good job by Palmer Ridge to keep it alive. Now Belts toward the net. Michelson, an off-tempo hit over, and a diving dig that time by De La Rosa. Back onto the Tigers side. Casillas sets for Kreitz, who leans back and cooked it long, and Tigers are all asking for a tip. Every player up toward the net, and they're not going to get it.
Kreitz had a spot there. She found a good zone, just maybe foot and a half too long.
And a miscommunication there, and on set point, Palmer Ridge puts it away. 1-0 lead for Palmer Ridge. We'll take a timeout. We'll head to set number 2 here on the Erie Tiger Network. And welcome back in, Erie Tiger Network. It is a 1-0 lead here for the host, Palmer Ridge. 5 seed in terms of RPI, did not win their own conference, but arguably the best conference in the whole state. And you look at the rankings on chassanow.com and kind of the final regular season rankings for volleyball as baby Colton Fox making an appearance. But here in 4A, Lewis Palmer 1, Valor, Holy Family, Niwot, Palmer Ridge. So very good top about 7-8 teams here, and then a pretty large gap after that. And so this would be a pretty big upset for Erie. But if you're Coach Creek, what are you saying to your troops there in the timeout?
You know, I think you talked about the things that you did well. For the majority of that game, you hung right with them, and that's all you can hope for here, I think, is to be close with 2 or 3 points left and kind of eliminating some of those, and that'll be a good start there for the Tigers.
And Erie will start off with the point off the miscued serve by Elena De La Rosa, the freshman libero.
You talk about Niwot, Brandon, that team largely powered by Mackenzie, who is an Erie resident. So I know that frustrated me and frustrates Coach Creek, of course.
2-0 lead after an ace there for Casillas. So good start here to set 2. Casillas down the far sideline, set up to the near side. Casillas with a dig. Now Kurz, she'll set up Michelson. Michelson will zip one into the chest of De La Rosa, who picks it up and then back onto the Tiger side and put home for a Palmer Ridge point. And it's now down to a 1-point lead here for Erie.
Games like this against a big hitting team put a huge amount of pressure on your libero. They spend a lot of time digging those cross-court hard hit balls, and I think Ronnie's maybe feeling a little bit of that right now.
Now Casillas will set it up. That's Kreitz into the back row. Goes Palmer, or Belts will pick it up. A little behind the action here as Maya Michelson, a hard swing. It was blocked, popped in the air, and fell to the ground. And Tigers pick up a point.
That fell in a nice spot for Maya. So whether you're watching or listening, when Maya attacks from the middle, there's a wide open hole if she can go up and either tip or swing hard right. We'll see if she can find that spot a few more times and make an adjustment.
Far side set is smacked into the net, and Erie leads at 4-1 here in set 2. Purcell the server. Purcell, a knuckler into the back row, set up in the middle, and Mac Russ. Man, she is tall, she is athletic, powerful, and really good.
Yeah, that's a really good freshman to have on your team, isn't it?
Now Riley Simpson, another freshman to serve it here for Palmer Ridge. In toward Belts. Set up here by Casillas. Michelson tried to go kind of toward the right. Good little stab there by De La Rosa to keep it alive. Now set up near side for Kreitz. That one is blocked. Michelson keeps it alive, and that one is into the net.
Sorry to interrupt you there, Brandon. My coach inside my head came up, and I said, stay down. Ronnie Belts, the libero, had set in front of the 10-foot line, which would be a back row attack if they had made better contact with that ball.
Belts dig, set up by Casillas, and that was tipped, and a kill for Maya Michelson.
A little over approach there. You'd like to see Maya stay back, try to get hitting down on the ball a little more, especially off of their first attempt, not in rally.
Erie leads 5-3 here in the second set. Michelson serves a side spinner. Dug out toward the net and then tapped over and blocked down onto the Erie side. Kreitz couldn't get her hands quite over far enough and blocked it right in front of her. Now Mac Russ will serve it right at Purcell. Casillas sets near side, overcooked a little bit. Good job by Kreitz, just kind of leaned back and found the empty spot right in the middle of the floor.
You know, the Palmer Ridge defense is set up on the pin hitters, Erie's outside and right side hitters, almost with a split back, which is really similar to it's called red defense that Windsor plays. So that's going to benefit Erie if they can remember the successes that they've had at times against Windsor and against that defense.
Out toward the line. Set up far side and a big crushing hit. That was Summer Riflogel, and Riflogel brings Palmer Ridge back to within one. Grace McIntosh back to serve. Kreitz, set up by Casillas, hit by Haley Hahn, and dropped it right on the line in the back row. So Tigers, when they've gotten their opportunities, have done good to put the ball home. 7-5 lead here in set two. Erie has maintained that lead so far throughout the early portion of this set. Now set into the middle, blocked but wide.
So that's a product of being just a half second late. If Haley could be up just a half second earlier, your arms kind of round into shape and protrude over the net a little bit, and that ball's less likely to go out and less likely to go so far across.
Tapped, Hahn will punch it over onto the Palmer Ridge side. Back set near side, and that one smoked in there. That time it was Corey Woods, and we're all square at 7.
This is that point in last game where it's kind of similar gameplay to last game. Erie had a lead, then kind of tied up through the middle points, and then about 15 Palmer Ridge pushed ahead. You see if Erie can kind of try to climb back 1-2 point lead here.
Flogel with the serve, set up near side. Crawford, a nice little zinging hit, and regains the Tiger lead. Now Haley Hahn into serve. Right now on the floor, it's Hahn, Kreitz, Amond, Michelson, Casillas, and Crawford. Set toward the middle, off tempo. Casillas picked that one up. Amond sets to Crawford, and ooh, they'll say that one was long and just by an eyelash.
I think it is. That split back defense is tough for an outside to get used to because you're hitting at the same spot that usually a libero's at. Your coach spends all year yelling at you not to hit that spot, and then all of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, you have to make an adjustment and hit it that one spot.
9-8 Palmer Ridge after the ace. De La Rosa off the tape and popped in the air. Michelson gets blocked. She'll dig. Set up near side for Crawford. That one is blocked and dug out by Crawford. Back set to Casillas. She'll angle it to the near side, kept alive, and Palmer Ridge will play it over a third time. Now Erie trying to set an attack up. Near side set for Crawford. That one is partially blocked. Back in toward the net, off the tape. High into the air and flushed down by Michelson.
A very good rally here down south of, well, north of Colorado Springs, south of Castle Rock. Good volleyball happening.
Now Casillas goes down the line, dug out there in the middle. Dug that time by Kreitz and slammed right back into the arm of Belts. Not much she could do about that, as that was a hot shot coming right back at you from Mac Russ as Palmer Ridge regains the lead 10-9.
It's not something that coaches typically stat overpasses or overpass kills, but that's something we have seen a lot of today as another ace by Palmer Ridge. But they're a product of hard hits coming and not quite, having too much juice coming back. It's almost like sometimes in baseball against a pitcher, if you can make contact, you end up hitting it a little farther than normal. Same thing happening here.
Woods with the serve, dug out there by Crawford. Set to Michelson, who ran around the setter and smacked it into the near corner. Cross court, good solid hit there for Michelson. And that will cut the Palmer Ridge lead back to 1. Now Autumn Purcell in to serve. Purcell with the right hand, floats it into the back row. A little bit of an overpass there, but dug out by Palmer Ridge and then played out wide in an Erie point. 11-11. Erie trying to hang tough here.
Yep.
They're down 1-0. Purcell in toward Glowcats, and then that was hammered home by Riley Simpson.
That was a really, if you're not here or you're not watching, that ball hit maybe the 9-foot line. Like, it was smoked. Crossbody around the block.
Now Simpson to serve after the big spike home. Set up near side, Kreitz gets blocked, and that one is another Palmer Ridge point. And do those hurt, blocking those big swings, or?
Not unless it gets one finger. You know, I think your volleyball's not heavy enough. But I'm wondering here if Erie can maybe use a little off tempo. They've been on tempo all match and being blocked.
And a net violation on Palmer Ridge.
Maybe
gives Erie a point.
Interesting decision here by Coach Creek. So she's having both of her middles serve and having Ronnie Belts not serve for either of her middles, who we've talked about earlier is kind of hit or miss, but has a ability to kind of push some points. You wonder if they were down by 3 or 4 or more, if Ronnie'd be back there serving.
2-point lead again for the Bears. Back to serve is Russ. She'll play it in toward the back row. That's Purcell. Set up near side. Kreitz gets it partially blocked, picked up by the Bears. Now they'll dump it into the back row. Belts a diving dig. Tigers get it over a third time, and that one just missed the line. And a point there for the Bears. And Tigers now in their biggest hole in this set, 3 points. And this is where you desperately need a point here.
They've got to keep it close at this kind of important middle point.
Hahn a big hit, but a good dig by the Bears again. And that time Haley Hahn with a nice block brings the Tigers back to within a couple. Now in comes Amond.
You know, when I've talked about when I was coaching, the two seemingly most important points I've always felt was 15 and 22. Being the first to 15 and then being the first to that critical 22 where you feel like you can really kind of slam the door.
Amond sets up Haley Hahn, and there was a whistle, and I think it was a net violation.
And Palmer Ridge, point for Erie.
Either way, that was going to be an Erie point.
So it looks like our the stream is coming a little bit behind the audio online, and so if we're spoiling it for you, we apologize, but we're going to just keep cruising here.
Now this one set up toward Purcell. That one goes cross court. Little off-tempo hit there. Good dig. Good rally here. Palmer Ridge on the attack. Back onto the Erie side. Amond dig set up by Casillas for Kreitz. And that one is just absolutely pelted. And Erie has tied up the set at 15.
The Erie fans making as much noise as the Palmer Ridge fans in here.
15-15. Amond serves in toward De La Rosa. An overpass. And Erie couldn't quite handle. They tried to get it over quick while maybe Palmer Ridge was a little bit out of rotation, and unfortunately they miscued one wide.
Haley Hahn may have gotten away with a double contact and a net violation, so I don't feel too bad about losing that point.
Now McIntosh into Belts. Amond back set to Kreitz, and she just does that little right-handed quick swipe.
So it's twice now that they've gone off-tempo and have kind of tied this game back up, and maybe that off-tempo pace is somewhere you could get a few more points before going back to being on-tempo.
Good dig there. Well, just hit toward the net. That was Amond, and back to a 1-point Palmer Ridge lead. Now a floater in toward Kreitz. Set up near side, and Crawford just a little bit mistimed there, and Palmer Ridge back up by a couple.
It was a little bit early. Feels like you're kind of jumping on a trampoline and got up a little early and trying to hang on to be able to contact the ball at its peak.
Well, timeout on the floor by Coach Creek. Good timeout there. You lose a couple points. You're down 18-16. Critical juncture in this set and in this match.
Yeah, it's you know, they've done what they've wanted here to stay close, but you want to be, I mean, you want to hit the end of this set here 20-20, 21-20, and you're right, this is an important few points coming up.
Hey fans, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Erie TigerNet. You can check us out on Facebook, like the Erie Tiger Network Facebook page, or online at erietigernetwork.com. I also encourage you to check out the Tiger Times, our new student-run news website. Go to erietigertimes.com for all the latest news that's happening in Erie High School.
It's a good little website, Brandon. You checked it out. You've got some sports. You got some school news. You even have an opinion section.
Yeah, there we go. It's I think the kids are enjoying getting to write and have their stuff read. 18-16, Palmer Ridge on top. Good dig there by Kreitz. Tigers on the attack. Crawford goes down the line. That one is dug out by the Bears. Now far side set, and Belts tried to dig. That was smoked a million miles an hour, and Palmer Ridge up 3.
There is a massive hole in the Palmer Ridge defense in that middle back spot, and it's hard to watch because I'm sure that Coach Creek and Coach Tanaka see it and are communicating that, and it's just hard for players to always have faith that they can hit at the block and go for that spot.
There's a little off-tempo hit directly to the right that you were hoping Maya would go toward, and Hahn able to tap that one out there. Tigers back within a couple. Palmer Ridge set something up and cooked it long, and they'll say that was tipped.
Oh, I don't know who tipped that.
And Coach Creek trying to discuss with the down official, as I think only the
up official saw it, and you know what? I think the up official thought it was in, pointed her hand that way, saw the line judge call it out, and then made a reason for her initial call to be right. That's maybe a little pessimistic, but that's what I feel right now.
Off tempo there by Michelson. Palmer Ridge, they'll go off tempo. Belts near side for Crawford, that's blocked, and a 4-point lead for Palmer Ridge, 21-17. And
this is as important as it gets for Erie, because not only is these kind of swing points important, but you start having to think about having to win 3 in a row against a very good team. It gets to be a tall task, as Palmer Ridge kind of floats a serve over, and a not good serve receive there by Erie that sails out of bounds.
22-17 now. This one into the back row. Kreitz receives. Amon bumps it near side for Crawford. That was angled cross court, picked up by De La Rosa. Down the line, off the hands of Amon, out of bounds. So another Palmer Ridge point. They lead it 23-17, and another timeout here by Coach Creek. And well, Tigers are staring a 2-set deficit right in the eyes right now.
Palmer Ridge is having their starting to make some points happen with really kind of going up and looking at the block and hitting away from the block. And the last couple times Erie's block has been set up, it's been set kind of inconsistently, going out, adjusting to the last one, so to speak. It's like a football defense thinking a run's coming, and then the pass is coming, and then they think the pass is coming, and they've set their defense up for the pass, and then another run comes. And it seems like Erie is always just one play behind. And that's a product of very good and very smart offensive play by Palmer Ridge.
Tigers will come out of the timeout here. They trail at 23-17. And need a few big points and a few miscues by the Bears, I think, if they want to find a way to steal out set number 2.
Coach's point right now for Coach Creek.
And
she get it? Nah.
Serve perfectly placed, and 24-17. And it's set point for the Bears. De La Rosa trying to ice the set. A floater. Belts had to dive to get it. Crawford will put it long, and it's a 2-0 lead. So the Tigers, they're going to have to pull a rabbit out of a hat. They trail it 2-0. So Palmer Ridge will take a timeout here on the Erie Tiger Network. And welcome back in here, Erie Tiger Network, as the Tigers trail at 2-0. Coach Creek trying to emphasize some points there in the timeout. You can see the players looking in with just maybe a little look of concern on their faces, as this could very well be the last set of the season if they're not able to cinch things down.
Yeah, so some adjustments the players have to make, and, you know, things like finding those open spots, adjusting where they're swinging, but then also this is a tough time for coaches, you know, trying to figure out, you know, do you need to make any adjustments, moving away from kind of what you've used throughout the season to get a spark, or do you keep the same lineup out there? I know Coach Tanaka is a big fan of if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and she reminded me of that all the time, but it's not exactly the scenario here for the Tigers. So we'll see what lineup Coach Creek runs out there, but I wouldn't be surprised to see at least one little wrinkle, maybe a different right side, maybe different, you know, either, you know, different lineup with same players but in a different order, kind of flip-flop in the middles or flip-flop on the outside, just to see if they can catch Palmer Ridge on their heels a little bit.
Well, it'll be Casillas, Crawford, Michelson, Amid, Kreitz, and Belts to start the third set here for the Tigers.
Well, yeah, so there's already one of those first changes. Is last two sets, Ronnie Belts hasn't served at all, and she goes back there to be the first server this set.
Hits one right into De La Rosa, served up and teed off on out of the middle was Mac Russ. And man, that is impressive stuff.
Yeah, you know, a good serve by Belts, but a better dig, and a dig like that is easy to tee up for a good offensive team.
Now set up in the middle. Michelson gets her hit blocked, but then it went right back to her, and she was able to punch it back onto the Palmer Ridge side for the Tiger point. Now Kurz will come in here for Amon.
Yeah, you can totally see a difference of demeanor. Not bad in any way for Erie or Palmer Ridge, but a lot of confidence, a lot of smiles for Palmer Ridge, and a lot of focused eyes for Erie. As Maya has a second consecutive block, and if they can earn their points that way, they'll take it.
2-1, Erie leads. This one miscued and an ace there for Casillas, and maybe that'll get a little bit of confidence and swagger.
Well, and a good serve to serve the new substitute, and right away Palmer Ridge coaches hide her in the back row.
Now set up near side, and Mac Russ just comes soaring in and slammed it down for a kill.
That was a mistake by Michelson, an overpass. Maya got antsy and jumped up on a back row setter. The setter's not going to contact that ball over, and then she was down for the middle while the middle had a free shot.
Now Belts digs. Crawford will play it down the line, and good placement by Sophie. Dropped it in there.
Well, it's the same start as the previous two games, isn't it? And then we're going to have a different outcome here. So another little wrinkle here. Skylar Small into serve instead of Autumn Purcell here. Set number 3.
Back set, far side, and just hit high and long, and a 3-point lead here for Erie.
Yep.
So good start to the set. But I'd like to see the Tigers put together a good middle and end, and there's a miscue on the serve by Small, and back to a 2-point Tiger lead.
Yep.
Now Mac Russ, the star freshman for this Palmer Ridge team, to serve.
Well, while she's back in the back row and you still have Maya in the front row, these are the times you need to push points, and they do that right away. And if they can, if they can always win that point, that'll be good for the Tigers.
A miscue on the serve received there for Erie, but it worked out as it dropped right in front of a couple Bears, and then Haley Hahn rises high and slams it hard, and the Tigers.
No.
Oh, and
now Palmer Ridge single-handed blocked that ball. That's why there's so much excitement, and you got a one-hand block by a Palmer Ridge player. And
I saw Haley pump her fist, I thought, and so I looked down.
Oh, shoot.
All right, so Palmer Ridge point. Now Hahn will play it over, and Hahn gets it right back. 7-4, Erie leads. I'm going to blame the little railing in front of us again.
Yeah, it's A better view at home, we hope, than our view here.
Now set up near side. Belts with a high dig. Does a good job to keep it alive. Belts will play it over. De La Rosa, a running pass into the middle. Set to the near side. Blocked at the net by Casillas. Now back set, far side. Cross-court hit. Belts digs toward the net. It hits the tape, goes over onto the Bears side. Now an attack from the back, and that one was hit by Erie all the way to the back wall on a Palmer Ridge point.
That is a really big back row attack and you know you're a good player when you can rise up 10, 12 feet off the court or off the net and hit the ball down that hard.
Now Belts with the dig off the serve. Near side set. Kreitz tried to angle it cross court. Dug out there by McIntosh. Now set up to the near side. That's Simpson. And Erie's able to dig. Casillas went flying past the Tiger bench. Palmer Ridge trying to set up the attack again down the line, and crushing it home was Riley Simpson, and it's back to a 1-point set.
Well, that's the third time in as many sets to the outside that Haley Hahn has had a hard time and not close the block on the outside, which puts Megan Casillas in a tough spot, having to decide whether she's going to stick to her kind of pin location or if she needs to sort of edge to the middle to try to close off some of that distance.
Off tempo, and Amon came diving in to try and save it and couldn't do it. 7-7.
Palmer Ridge has gone off tempo a few times here into that kind of soft spot in the defense.
I think it's been 7-7 all 3 sets.
I know, it feels like we're watching the same one.
Now Casillas from the far side, dug out by De La Rosa, set here to the near side, and just raising up and slamming it down as Simpson.
And again there, that went between it's a hard thing to do. It's hard to move for the middle to move all the way, especially when you have such good middles that you have to be responsible for as the middle blocker. You have to commit to make sure they're not going to burn you first, and then you've got to move out fast. And that's something that is a bit of a struggle for the Tigers right now.
Coach Simpson, or excuse me, Coach Creek, feeling maybe momentum kind of switching back to the Palmer Ridge side, calling a timeout.
Yep.
As we mentioned, this Palmer Ridge team 22-2 on the year, with their only losses coming to league champions, one in the 5A ranks in Coronado and one in their own league, the crosstown rival Lewis Palmer Rangers, who have built a very prolific volleyball program.
They're the volleyball program the same way Erie has kind of been, and especially 4 or 5 years ago, the 4A and 3A softball program winning 4 out of 5 state championships.
So 8 serving 7 here for Palmer Ridge. Set up, and Kreitz has it hit into the net. Too many touches there for Erie, and a 9-7 lead now for Palmer Ridge. Now it's Reflogel. She'll float one in there. Small will dive to get it, and then a miscue on the hit by Casillas goes wide, and now the Tigers letting things slip here a little bit.
They're in a tough rotation with their right side hitting outside in this one rotation, and you've got to get through that first attempt to get everybody back in their natural positions. And luckily for Erie, Palmer Ridge's serve sailed wide and let them do that without having to fight through that awkward first attempt.
Now Kreitz into the back row. Set up in the middle, and just, it was quick, a little tic-tac-toe action there, and Palmer Ridge gets the point. Erie was hoping maybe they saved it. Sometimes you see a little
pancake.
Yeah, pancake. That's what it's called.
What it's called.
All right, there you go. That's why we like having you on. Learn something new. There's a kill. Just saw a pancake shared on the Sports Center Twitter or something, an early celebration. I'll always enjoy those.
Yep.
Celebrate too early, end up losing the point. Another kill there for Palmer Ridge, and it's
celebrating
up to 5.
for Erie right now. It's an interesting spot for Coach Creek, because this is a spot, if you hadn't taken your first time out, you definitely want to use it here. I wonder how many more points they can go before taking another one.
Now Hyman sets up far side and a net violation on Erie, or a double touch, I beg your pardon. And a 14-8 lead.
That's picking on the kid that's already down. That's a good-looking set. And they've changed the rules in volleyball, trying to have two distinct contacts, not necessarily an ugly-looking ball being a double. And to my biased eyes, that looked like a fine set.
Now set toward Crawford. She'll angle across court. Bears on the attack again. Far side. Off tempo. Kreitz digs. Back set near side for Casillas. That one's blocked out of bounds and an Erie point. And a much needed point.
Yep.
And now Maya Michelson will come in here for the Tigers. 14-9. Erie trails. And that one is stung wide, and no contact there for Erie, so a couple straight points for the Tigers.
Yep. Need two more to feel kind of like you sufficiently crawled back into it, and our volleyball has rolled under the bleachers. Fresh one coming in. That's what we needed, a fresh ball. Here we go.
So Haley Hahn plays it into the corner. Set up near side. Big hit is blocked and down onto the Erie side. Thought for a second that was blocked back onto the Palmer Ridge side.
That's a frustrating one because the positioning was much better that time by Michelson in the middle. It's just same thing. You didn't have quite enough time to extend over the net, and then it comes down on your side when you block it on the way up.
Now back set far side and dug out there by Kreitz. They'll set up Crawford. That one's blocked at the net. Still alive, and Amon gets it blocked. Tigers getting blocked left and right here. Block party going on for Palmer Ridge. Punched over by Erie, that time high over the blockers. Now Palmer Ridge plays over a third time. Long rally here, set up in the middle, and Maya Michelson slams it home.
Whew, they needed that one.
Well, if it doesn't work, try, and try again, and the Tigers finally got one to fall.
Yeah, I was. I mean, that's where Maya is the strongest, when she's pushing the ball down to her right. I've always called that a thumb side hit. Some people call it a right side hit, where you're dragging your thumb down through and pushing the ball across. Point for Palmer Ridge, as Erie was in the net there on a block attempt.
16-11, Palmer Ridge leads. Erie needs to make a run here, or this could be the last set of their season, and the last set we see Maya Michelson in a Tiger uniform. Now Kreitz will dig. Casillas set into the middle. Michelson a little punch over. Now Belts will dig it out. Back to Crawford on the far side, and a nice right arm swing. And that one was deflected down and in for a Tiger point.
It's also worth noting Autumn Purcell as a senior. We haven't seen her in this set, as Skylar Small has been in for her. So we'll kind of cross our fingers that we haven't seen already the last of her in a volleyball uniform.
One is long there for Palmer Ridge. Erie back to within 3. Well, they have a puncher's chance as long as they can keep it close here.
Like a little boxing reference in a volleyball match.
And a runner there for Belt. She couldn't quite catch up to it, and a 4-point lead for Palmer Ridge.
That's the same thing where the outside went up. The defense was reading hit, lined up with her shoulders cross court. She saw that, decided to tip it long down the line, and you could tell the defense didn't have time to make that adjustment.
Dug there by Kreitz. Set up in the middle. Michelson, the right-handed swipe. That one will go.
An incredible block by Maya Michelson on the setter dump as she dropped her right foot. If you watch the setter drop her right foot, you know she's going to turn and swing on that second ball over. It's so hard to see that. Of all the things you got to watch, she saw that, went up and blocked it. Now back to serve for Michelson.
17-14, Erie on top, and make that 18, or excuse me, Erie trailing, make that 18-14. And Tigers, if they're going to mount a rally, it needs to happen right here.
It's the second time in a row the Tiger defense has overloaded kind of their left side of the court, and the hit has come across to the right.
Now Casillas, she'll set up far side for Kreitz. That one is dug out in the back row, near side set, and that deflected off of Kurz. And it's now a 5-point chasm.
Yeah, we'll see if we see that last timeout from Coach Creek here very soon, I would suspect.
Well, yeah. Hate thinking about this potentially being the last moments that you see Maya Michelson, but you look at this Erie roster and a lot of juniors. There'll be a lot of pieces back next year. Certainly exciting if you're Coach Creek or an Erie volleyball fan.
Yep, to have 6 or 7 seniors next year will be great. Some talented juniors on JV coming up as well. The challenge will be the year following. What do you do to kind of rebuild after this big talented junior class has graduated? That's a long ways off, isn't it, Brandon?
Well, let's hope that there's still a couple more sets to be played after this. Tigers down by 5, though. They have to mount a furious rally. That's Amond off the net, and it's 21-15. Palmer Ridge with the lead.
Those are backbreakers when you're doing everything you can to be hanging right with a team, and you can't have those free kind of points slip away.
Now Kreitz will tap it over. Palmer Ridge able to kind of somehow get to it, and then a net violation on Palmer Ridge gives Erie the point.
So now's the time. Kick it in gear, Erie. Sophie Kreitz checks in, and this is that rotation, the scary rotation that Erie has, where you got to make sure you don't. They can't afford to let any points slide in it. See if they can't push some in this kind of off rotation.
Now set up, far side, that's Crawford. That one's blocked. Kreitz will play it high toward the net. Crawford swings it, hits the face of Simpson, played over by Casillas. Bears, good job of defense there. Off tempo, Ahmed keeps it alive. Hahn plays over second time, hits the net. Still alive here for Palmer Ridge, blocked by Casillas, and a big point for the Tigers to keep them alive.
That was an absolutely incredible play by Tigers, and so good, in fact, that the Palmer Ridge coach is going to take a timeout and make sure they cool the momentum of Erie. Whew, that was a good one.
So 21-17, Palmer Ridge leads, but Erie fighting tooth and nail here to stay alive. We knew it would be tough sledding here against Palmer Ridge. They've kept it close to the early portions of the set, just kind of that middle part of the set. I don't know if it's a lack of focus or what it is, but just let Palmer Ridge get away far enough that makes it too little too late.
To me, it feels like they need, to be kind of peak performing, and it's hard to maintain that peak performance through the entire duration of the game, but they need it now, and they need it for 6 or 7 points.
And Kreitz gets an ace, and so Erie back to within 3. This is who you want serving in a situation like this. And that's the announcer's jinx right there.
As Kreitz serves it into the net, for those of you listening. 22-18, Palmer Ridge.
Now Belts digs, set up, far side. That one is hammered down and in by Crawford.
Her best swing of the day.
Outside of that miscued serve by Kreitz, feels like Erie a little more confident here the last couple minutes. Now Belts will deliver serve.
Well, you know, some confidence from the jump serves.
And a good dig there by Amond to keep it alive. Set up in the middle, and that time Mac Russ put it away, and Palmer Ridge 2 points away here from punching their ticket to the state tournament.
Let's see if we see Maya, if they can get a pass, run a 3 away from the middle, try to move her around a little bit. Well, there she goes, and that'll work.
Well, Coach Fox called it, and he got it. 23-20. Tigers trail it. Can they make a little last-second run here in this set? Casillas goes down the far side, back set and hit long, and so it's back within a couple. Tigers not giving up here.
Yeah, giving Palmer Ridge more than they want, I think.
Casillas again Good top spinning serve. Now near side, Simpson, and that's partially blocked but falls in there, and it is match point for the Bears. Last chance here for the Tigers. Back to serve is Bella Walsh, or no, that was Riley Simpson, and a timeout here called by Coach Creek. Well, Coach, we mentioned this could be the last moment in a Tiger uniform for Autumn Purcell and Maya Michelson. Just how much have these seniors meant to this volleyball program, trying to turn it around? We know only about 4 years ago this team had not had a winning season in a while, and here we've seen them put back-to-back seasons of 15 or more wins.
Yep, yeah, going, I mean, it wasn't that long ago they were 2-21, and these girls and the kind of class above them kind of helped turn around, and then the next step is being the host seed moving forward. But I think they also did a really good job kind of bridging the gap between two really strong classes.
And Michelson rifled one, good block. Set up for Crawford, and that one is blocked waywardly, and so Erie will live to see at least one more point. Now Autumn Purcell, the senior, will come in here with a chance to try and preserve the Tigers' season.
I think that ball actually was hit by Michelson off of the libero's forehead. It's always fun.
Set up and blocked down and on the Tiger side for a Palm Ridge point, and that will do it. 25-22, a three-set sweep for Palmer Ridge, and they will go to state, as that is the last time this year that you will see Tiger volleyball play. And always tough to come to an end, but unless you're a state champion, your season always ends on a note you don't like.
Well, I think a successful season for the Tigers by nearly all measures, and the next step is how do you take this strong junior class and turn it into a state-bound team, and that's the challenge Coach Creek will have, and that's what she will chew on for the next 6 months until she can get back in the court again and start working with players in the early summer.
Well, Coach Fox, thank you so much for joining us today. That's going to conclude our broadcast here from Monument, Colorado, as Palmer Ridge will be moving on into the state tournament. Thank you for joining in all volleyball season. Our next broadcast will be the first round of the 3A football playoffs, when we find out where Erie is going, whether they're hosting, who they're playing. That should be tomorrow, I believe, sometime. We will let you know. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Facebook. For Coach Fox, I'm Brandon Bird. Thank you so much for joining us. That was a broadcast of the Erie Tiger Network, and until next time, we'll chirp at you later.